Well, if it isn't one of the best games I have ever played being on fire again. The Bazaar is once again struggling to figure out their monetization, and this time, I think I do actually want to make a video like this on it and give some of my opinions, because last time it happened, I didn't do that, and I have a lot of things to say. For context, about 5 or 6 months ago, Bazaar changed their monetization, basically making the game pay to win, where if you bought a prize pass, you would have access to new cards 1 month in advance. And these cards were pretty good, so the whole pay to win argument was pretty big back then. I didn't really have a proper take on it because, as I'll explain later, I am a content creator, or I used to be a content creator for Legends of Runeterra, and that game really did not figure out their monetization either, so I'm not surprised to see Bazaar struggle with it. It's a hard thing to do. I can't help but think that they're really struggling to find the right thing to do. Anyway, that thing 5 months ago, they fixed it by basically reverting the monetization, making it entirely free to play for everyone. You could get the prize pass for free. You played a couple of games, you would get all the new cards that they would then add to the game. It was pretty fantastic. It was almost too generous. However, you could still pay with either in-game resources or real money to unlock the cards that would appear in the prize pass earlier. So level 15 and level 30 is when you would unlock 10 cards for one of the heroes. So you could pay real money to get them earlier. And, you know, the whole pay to win thing, it's called pay to win because most of the times these cards were extremely overtuned. I could pay 15 bucks, which I usually did because of a content creator, to get those cards early, not even knowing if they'd be broken or not. And, you know, last month when I did that for Dooley with his dinosaur expansion, I created some of the most ridiculous boards I really should not be able to have. Nobody was able to beat me because I had the cards and they didn't. So there was really like no competition. And before people even got to unlock those cards, they would already be nerfed. Anyway, that's been fixed now because, once again, with the release of a new hero coming up very soon, Bazaar is attempting to once again figure out their monetization in an entirely different way, because this whole pay to win thing, not only did it suck for the players if you lost to cards you didn't yet have, and second of all, it felt unsustainable. It felt like this was a model that was almost impossible to keep moving forward if they wanted Bazaar to last multiple years. So what I'm going to do first is give an overview of what's currently happening. Then I'm just going to give my opinion as a content creator, which is important. The opinion of a content creator is always going to be different from yours because I try to make money doing this and you're just playing the game for fun. So for me, there's like different incentives. I can have fun because I can make a cool video, but I can also have fun because I'm playing a good video game. So keep that in mind, not just for me, for anyone you watch, you are watching the perspective of a content creator. So with that out of the way, what's happening? So on August 13, the game is launching on Steam and it's switching from a free-to-play to a premium model. What that means is that if you do not own the game right now, if you do not have an account on TempoStorm, on their website, and play the Bazaar account right now, that means that if you want to play, you need to buy it on Steam for $45. And that will unlock 3 of the heroes, Vanessa, Pygmalion, and Dooley. And if you have an account right now, you do not have to pay $45. You can just keep playing through the Tempo launcher and you unlock every single hero that is in the game right now. So Mac, Dooley, Vanessa, and Pygmalion. But if you want to play the new upcoming hero, Stell, who looks fantastic, by the way, and I'm really sad that this whole ordeal is taking away hype from her. If you want to play Stell, you have to pay $20. What that gives you is the new hero to play, over 100 new cards, and because of this switch to a premium model, that means that the prize pass will remain free, but cards that are added in later expansions will no longer be unlocked later and will instead be unlocked for everyone right as a new season comes out. There's no more pay to winning in that sense. Everybody gets the cards at the same time, which is a really good thing. I do just want to like say something about that because my stance on it previously was different than what it is now. Basically, it comes down to what I just said. I did not find them pay to win because you would unlock them for free anyway. But if I buy them earlier, then yes, I am essentially pay to winning. In my head, you are diluting a big pool of cards. And if these cards are not good, which was the case with actually the quest items for Mac, when they were released, they were not very good. So if I wanted to play Mac with those cards I just unlocked, it would more be like pay to lose. Either way, I am changing my gameplay by spending money, which is unfair. My opinion was wrong back then, is what I'm trying to say. This was a bad model, and I'm glad to see them getting rid of it. Anyway, so Stell being $20, that is going to be the case for every single hero that will come out from now on. Instead of being able to buy it with gems, you will now have to buy it with $20. And I don't know if there's going to be a discount on that or something, but that is the message we got. So I actually want to read this out. This is a message from Raynad, who said, if heroes continued to be purchasable with gems, we simply couldn't justify or afford to make more heroes. They cost a lot of money to make because people need to be paid for their work. We would release one hero every 3 to 4 months with free-to-play players earning 6k to 8k gems in that time. How would devs be paid for their work with that math? Upping the gem prices would just shift the complaint to the price change instead and make a worse game in the long run, with all of the free-to-play crap still in it. It's not about free-to-play versus premium, it is premium or no more new heroes as content. We think there is a big enough audience for a higher production value roguelike. Some people will play great roguelikes that are cheaper, some people will pay $40 to play the best one. I just want to say, I love Raynad. I think sometimes, okay, I love him as a streamer. I think as the head of a game, sometimes these messages can come off as a little too passionate, and it rubs people the wrong way, me included sometimes. But we as a community, the fact that what is happening right now isn't outrage at all is also because we are passionate. So I hope Raynad keeps doing what he's doing and gets a little better at delivering these messages sometime. But with that being said, I think he makes a lot of really good points, because I agree. I think Bazaar is the best roguelike on the market by a pretty significant margin. And that is not just the presentation or the art, it's also just the gameplay and how exciting every run is. I can't stop playing it, which you guys have seen on the channel. I love this game so much, and I keep chasing that high of that most ridiculous run that I've ever had, where just like the stars align. If I play maybe once or twice a week, I will get a run like that, and then you guys will see it on YouTube, because I do try to upload those runs when I can. I haven't really met a game that can match that same feeling. So there is truth in his message, but I want to unpack some of the other stuff that is said. For existing players, that $45 price tag is non-existent. You can still play on the Tempo launcher. You can buy Stell there for $20 as well. You can also do it on Steam. You don't need Steam to buy the new hero. So there's that. For us, for existing players, the Steam thing is like, you don't have to do that. But again, I want to unpack that $20 price tag for the hero, because what you're essentially buying is an expansion. Stell has over 100 cards that you can play with, that you can find in game. That is immediately like you're unlocking an entire expansion for an existing card game. So what I want to do is I want to talk about this experience that I had with Legends of Runeterra, because Legends of Runeterra is the game, like everything you see on my channel, all the numbers, the amount of subs, the followers, everything you see is basically because of Runeterra. And Runeterra as a game had to shut down. They can't add new cards to their PvP side of the game. PvP is essentially dead. It's still playable, it has rotations, but no new cards are added. So in the sense of me creating content, it is dead. I was invited to the Riot Mystery event last year, and I had a chance to talk to a lot of the devs. I got a tour around the Riot campus. There was like a tournament for Runeterra. It wasn't meant to be a goodbye, but because of the announcement that the PvP side was shutting down, it was essentially a goodbye. It was emotional. I was not ready to see some of the developers in the way that I did, because yeah, it was tough to swallow. Anyway, on like the second or third day, we had a restaurant visit with all of the players, all of the devs, and that was incredible. I was just sitting across like people that worked on what was then one of my favorite games of all time. I sat across someone I will not name, this important person. He had a lot to say about the monetization of Runeterra, and he was like, yeah, you know, we messed this up. We really could have done a lot better. The monetization was ass, it was bad, and if we knew this 5 years ago, we wouldn't have done this. And then as we kept talking, we kind of started discussing possibilities, like what could have been, how would you have done it differently? And the conclusion that he came to is, I wish that the 60 card expansions with 3 champions that we released every 3 or 4 months, what I wish we could have done was, instead of allowing players to unlock them with resources, I wish we had a model where they would pay $20. I swear this is exactly what I am not making this up for the purpose of this video. They said if we could let them pay $20, they could just get all the cards immediately, unlock it for free, essentially a subscription model. That is almost word for word what he said. And I have people that were sitting on that table, Marshall, who now runs Riftbound Report, and Grappler, who I think does mostly Shadowverse content now. They were sitting on that same table and they heard that too. And we were all like, yeah, you know, that would have been a lot better, because we're sitting on mountains of resources like the gems in Bazaar. And I had so many resources, I would be able to unlock every single card in that game for the next 2 years of expansion. That is insane. Like, yes, they are adding cosmetics, but cosmetics just do not work in a game like that. It's unsustainable. And Bazaar was doing the exact same thing. So like, people that come on my stream know, or you might have heard me say it in a video, know that I had that worry. This model looks unsustainable. It is too generous. Seeing them go to a $20 price tag for Stel, which is essentially an expansion, sounds good to me in that way. However, this is where the problems kind of start, because once again, this monetization model comes out of completely nowhere. This is the second time they've had a big change like that. And I really wish that they had a way to ease players into that. For example, make her purchasable with gems. Like, start by saying, okay, you can buy Stel with gems, but the next hero release will only be affordable with money, with real money. I think that would have been a start, because the 45 player price tag, the $45 price tag for new players, I think sounds like it would harm the new player acquisition more than it would help. Yes, you're releasing the game on Steam, but I just feel like getting those new players to stay invested has been a problem with Bazaar for a long time. Getting an announcement that says, okay, new players have to pay $45, and then if you want to play the new content, you have to pay $20, I think that's too much. I do not think that $20 is steep at all, because I used to play Hearthstone in the past and I would spend $80 on a pre-release bundle and I would barely be able to make 2 decks. I get a full experience by paying $20 for Stel, and I think that is beautiful in its own way, because there's no worry about, oh, what if I can't get the full experience? What if I can't get all the cards that I want to play with Stel? I'm the kind of person, if a new class comes out or if new cards get released, I pick like 3 of them and I'm like, oh my god, I love these. I need to play with those. And then I just start theory crafting in my head, what could I do with those cards? And I think Bazaar is basically the same. You see like a really cool big card, which, you know, I'll be releasing 5 cards tomorrow on the channel as well. And one of them was like, oh my god, I would love to just make builds with this card. So to get a full experience like that, I think is very good. And it removes a lot of the problems that other card games have, like Marvel Snap and like Hearthstone. That being said, compared to basically every other game of this caliber, and I'm talking about Bazaar as kind of like an indie studio, they have incredibly high production value. It is almost insane. It's bordering insane, because with this kind of art and presentation, it rivals companies like Riot and Blizzard, and that does come with a high cost. Slay the Spire, for example, is a one-time purchase with a much lower price point, but it's a single-player game. Hearthstone is free to play, but with an extremely aggressive monetization model, and Teamfight Tactics is free to play with a cosmetic-only mode, but they have current-day Riot money to just back them up. And it feels like the Bazaar is trying to like carve out a space here between all these models, but it's a really risky move, and the pricing that we're seeing right now puts it in a very difficult spot for a game that is not yet, at least, not a household name. $45 looks unreasonable, but especially if you've been playing as a free-to-play player, but there is an unmatched amount of content and replayability, especially compared to some other games on Steam. I know that I spent money on the Bazaar, but those are mostly cosmetics because I play so much and I have so many gems, but I have played way more Bazaar than I have any other game that I paid full price for. In short, moving away from this microtransaction model that they have right now is ultimately a very, very good thing. However, it's bad for the players as it stands, because we got used to a model where every 3 or 4 months we get a new hero and we can basically play entirely for free. So bad for the player because we now have to spend real money, but it's ultimately a very good thing for the game. If this change happened at the very start, if this was a release on Steam for $45 and the game that the people that backed the game in the alpha got the game for free, I think that would have been perfect. I know the Bazaar devs probably wish they could go back in time and do this monetization model from the very beginning, because again, it feels like it is the perfect solution, but playing free to play and then having to spend money is just going to be really sour. It's going to rub a lot of people the wrong way, and I understand that, rightfully so, right? But as great as the cosmetics are, there was never going to be enough incentive to buy them. And now Bazaar is on fire again because of all these changes to monetization that have happened in the past, and here's another one. Even going on Steam right now looks really great, but there was some pretty heavy pushback on that at the start. So what changed? Again, I wanna read out a comment here that was posted on Reddit. One of the devs, Toby, is on the Discord and answering questions and being pretty upfront about things. Here's a few things he said. Why not have the Steam client be free or even $5? It's something we considered, but had other negative issues with it. I'm very curious for what those issues are. Part of it is actually numbers to keep the lights on. It just financially doesn't work out if the core game on Steam is less than $45. I mean, we can't know actual numbers until we see numbers, but the motivations for pricing have not been to make tons of profits, but just to keep the game running. What I can say is that I love the game, I want this game to continue to exist, and I want to keep working on it. I'm honestly in the same boat, I don't have Steam either. So also apparently a mass migration to Steam was not possible because Steam only allows 5,000 keys for a game. So if you don't want to pay the $45 and stay free on the Tempo launcher, you can't actually leave a review, which looks like another potential red flag. Because, yeah, the players that are dissatisfied now are not new players, so they're not going to invest that money to leave that review. But I choose to believe that that is just a side effect to Steam's platform and not really an intentional strategy to silence that negative feedback. So I have a bunch of notes here. I had to write this down because I obviously did my research. But with all of that being said, these monetization changes really felt like they have been inevitable for a very long time. And what it comes down to is that this should have been done sooner rather than later. Again, I keep repeating that. So imagine if we got this announcement 4 months ago, right? When Mac released. Like, hey, here's Mac. You can buy him with gems or with real money, but for the next release, you can only buy with money. It's like the same thing right now. Let us buy Stell with gems and then Jewels with real money. That way, players could kind of anticipate this second shift and wouldn't feel like it came out of nowhere and like you've been saving gems up for nothing. And the biggest underlying issue here is the way that gems work as a currency, especially because you used to need them to play ranked, which is now removed. There's no more cost to play ranked because the game is now entering a premium model. But most of all, you needed to win games to actually get those gems and essentially keep playing to keep earning. Better you are at the game, the more active you are, the more gems you can earn. And you can already kind of start seeing the problem here because while that's not really a bad thing, it also means that the most active and experienced players are the ones that will be most likely to invest and buy stuff. I'm pretty good and I play a lot. I'm nowhere near the top of players, but I had so many gems to the point that I probably never had to buy anything again unless I'm like literally buying the daily store and weekly store every single time. But especially with the subscription, I was just swimming in chests and that double experience made my prize pass go faster too. So the new players is where we're left and they are the ones that are worse at the game because they're new and they will probably just quit the game if they aren't having fun or winning games. They're struggling to get gems, which will only get worse when stuff like Stell was releasing. So essentially what this means is that the new and inexperienced players are being asked to pay for the game and not the active players that are the most invested because those can buy whatever the hell they want anyway. So asking the new players to keep spending money while they're maybe not even having fun is just an entirely unsustainable monetization strategy, and that really had to change, which is exactly what this change is. So yeah, this easing people into the whole new monetization instead of just pushing these like really high prices in everyone's faces would have been the way to go in my opinion, especially compared to the previous model where even though it was flawed, it gave new players a very clear path to the content that they wanted to unlock. Now, a new player's first experience is going to be coughing up $45, which is a pretty significant barrier to entry still. I think a free-to-try version, for example, with a single hero would have also been a really good thing to do. It's like, here, go play Vanessa, and Vanessa is also like a really, really complete experience, so a new player will get hooked and then they can choose to buy the full game and unlock Pygmalion, Dooley, and Mac, for example. The $20 hero expansion feels too expansive, but it's also, you have to think about how much work goes into those heroes, and especially if those 10-card expansions would keep coming out over a year. Every single month, we would get 2 expansions of 10 cards each, so that would be 24 expansions in a year. That's 240 cards, which we now get entirely for free. So unfortunately, there is another really, really bad thing that happened, and that is the marketplace. This is another feature that has officially been announced dead with the last announcement. This was supposed to be a place where you could trade your cosmetics because you were able to get duplicates and you had like numbers on them. So you could have mint cosmetics. You could have a number 1 if you were the first player ever to unlock it. That's all gone. No more numbers, no more duplicates, no more trading. Or no trading because that was never a thing in the first place. So if you have duplicates right now, they are going to get converted to gems, which is another thing where I have a really hard time to actually estimate the value of gems at all now. Is the primary use for them just cosmetics? Is the value of a gem to player diminished? And experienced players already have a lot of gems, so are their gems worth even less? What is even the point of winning unless, you know, because you're doing it for gems, unless there is a leaderboard and more competitive events. And And with that, seasonal chests are also being replaced by general chests, which have all the cosmetics in the game all in one place. I think weekly unlocks will not be in those chests. I don't know what else is excluded from that. But this is another thing that I'm pretty upset about because I really liked grinding or just like playing a lot and praying that I got a really cool cosmetic. And now they're all just in one chest. The stuff I earned in previous seasons will all be available to other players again. I think it kind of sucks because, yeah, they felt exclusive and it just felt really cool to have. But that's no longer a thing, unfortunately. The thing about skipping tiers in the price pass would not only unlock expansions, card expansions, you could also unlock skins or boards or whatever. And the problem is that a lot of people, when a new season would come out, would immediately try to be the first to spend that money and get the cosmetic, because then you could have like a #1. Like, I was the first person to get this skin in the price pass, and then you could maybe trade it on the marketplace for a higher value. And that's gone now. That number is gone, and essentially you spend money for nothing, because if you do that, you're probably playing the game a lot anyway, and you would get that skin for free anyhow. So it's really bad because this was a promise that was made and it's just scrapped entirely now. I also think that the Steam Marketplace could have been a solution for this, but that would also just come with a lot of other issues, because first of all, that would mean that all players would have to move to the Steam platform. I don't think the Bazaar team was ready to let everyone spend $45, and the Steam key was apparently not an option. So first of all, it wouldn't work out in that sense, and second of all, the Steam Marketplace has not really been profitable for any game other than Valve games. That is because they're basically triple dipping on all their sales there, because they take a cut of any item you buy or sell, then they take another cut because that money gets put into your Steam wallet, and that means that by having money in your Steam wallet, that you have to spend that money on the Steam platform, and as a result, they take another cut from that purchase. So it's like, it's kind of insane how that works, and I understand that that was not the way to go for Bazaar, but yeah, it still really sucks that they could not figure something out to make that work. Apparently, it was very resource intensive. Reynad, in his latest video, has said that they chose to cut this so they could work on stuff like single player, more and better content, just like leaderboards, events, I don't know, like all that stuff. So I get it, but it's still kind of like a bait and switch, because again, the early backers were promised a free-to-play cosmetics-based game. A part of that is gone, and every single monetization change does seem to stray further from that initial promise. Anyway, that was a big ramble. I apologize if this video is not going to be edited entirely properly, because I just wanted to get this out as soon as possible, give my takes. Ultimately, this change is good because it makes the game better, but it's worse for players, so I hope that because the game becomes better, they can deliver on that promise in different ways in the future, because yeah, it just kind of sucks right now. I genuinely love the Bazaar. I want to keep playing it. I want to keep supporting it. I hope that we can somehow find a middle ground and that this is the last monetization change. It kind of has to be, because they're asking for a premium price tag now. All the people I've spoken to have been extremely lovely. I know how talented and motivated the people are that work on this game, and I have nothing, honestly nothing but respect for them. So I think it's just a really unfortunate situation that the monetization had to be such a struggle. But coming from Legends of Runeterra, I know how hard that can be. With all of this out of the way, let's just hope it's fixed, that we no longer have to go through any changes like this. It seems like a good way moving forward. I just wish those price tags looked a little different. $20 for a character when you're used to playing for free is a hard sell, and $45 for the entire game, also a pretty hard sell. I think I would have been more happy recommending this game if it was $30. Stell should have come out with like a discount, because this is another change to the monetization, just like a little bit of easing people into it, which we're not really seeing at all. With that out of the way, if I missed anything, if you have any thoughts yourself, make sure to comment it. I'm sorry for the big long rant and ramble. I just wanted to keep people informed. Hopefully I didn't miss anything. That would suck. I'll keep uploading videos, gameplay, variety. I'll have some card reveals as well, so I hope to see you in the next video.